This true crime's looking a little bit phony to me. Because today we went to the AMC Screen Unseen movie, which we wanted to be Tron, but it was the Roofman, which we kind of surmised when we saw online the runtime was listed as the same as the Roofman, and it was the same rating, but I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting enough, so we went and saw it.
It could have been the R-rated cut of Tron Ares.
And guess what? We'll be one of the first critics, nostalgic critics to look at this new movie about nostalgia. So Aiden, what was the plot of Roofman?
Roofman is very loosely based on the true story of some guy in Charlotte back in the early 2000s who robbed a bunch of McDonald's, and then he went to prison. He escaped from prison, and then he lived in a Toys R Us, and by that I mean he lived in a Circuit City next to a Toys R Us for like 6 months, and then he got horny and went to prison again, and some other stuff happens. But in the movie version, it's like a romantic drama.
Yes.
Based on a premise that's not really a romantic drama premise. Connor, what'd you think of Roofman?
Roofman, I mean, off the bat, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. He robbed a bunch of McDonald's, and then he hid out in a Toys R Us. And it seems like McDonald's must have, and Toys R Us, which are both things. Toys R Us is a thing again. But they both must have played ball to the point where they allowed the movie to use their imagery a bunch. But regardless, I was like, that sounds like a semi-interesting concept. And then I sat there, and they really speed through the like McDonald's robbery parts, and about 20 minutes in, he's in the Toys R Us. And you're like, okay, what is the fucking plot of this movie gonna be? And how is it 2 hours long? And I think the filmmakers had trouble kind of coming to grips with how to make this 2 hours, but for some reason, so what they went with is like, it's this thing where Robber Man and Kirsten Dunst are in a relationship, and he loves these children, and he loves his own real biological children. And that sounds great, theoretically, but it's like, you know, the problem is the hokey premise is what everyone's there for. Like, the poster advertises it as being quirky. What they really should have done is, and the movie's so loosely based on the premise, like, if you read the actual story, there's definitely indulgences in terms of, like, they
like to soften up the Roofman's image.
They like
substantially.
They substantially like to, and it's really jarring because the last scene in the movie, he's like, you know what, I broke out, but now I'm ready to just, like, do my time, and one day I'll be free, and, like, it sucks, but I've learned my lesson, and I really just did it to have a better life for my kids, and I took it too far. And then this black screen comes up that's like, where are they now? And it's like, he tried to break out again as recently as 2017. Like, bro's a menace. And he broke out of jail, and he started dating this church lady. And you're like, that's fine. But then he, like, learns the power of true love, and it, like, it feels like there's, like, points you see in the main story that are fluffed in there because they have to. But a lot of stuff is exaggerated or lied because for some reason they want to make this guy look better than he is. Which is, like, you know, I think that'd be more theoretically fine if you, like, took a different angle. But for some reason they wanted to make this, like, a dramatic romance, which just felt like an odd direction to take it with such a goofy premise, which is why everyone's here to watch this movie. So you got effectively 90 minutes of this film just dedicated to the romance, and then there's like 30 combined minutes for the crimes and stuff, which is why people are interested in this. And even like things like he got dental work at a dentist and then he had to burn it down so they didn't find his DNA or his dental records and blah blah blah. Make it harder to chase him, and he comes. It just seems like a lot of the points of the crime that are like worse. He like they kind of softballed because it makes the romance work better. He reluctantly had to steal a gun from that pawn shop, and he reluctantly held the Toys R Us up.
And he reluctantly burned down the dentist office, and when it exploded, he said oopsie because he only meant to burn the file.
Well, then they never... The real story, I couldn't find anything. So the guy who played Snoop Dogg in Straight Outta Compton is his buddy, and he's like goading this guy on. He's like, you gotta get me 50 grand from this passport and all this so you can break out of town. And as far as it's been publicly said, there was no buddy and blah blah blah. So, but the point is, like, they basically tried to, like, the movie's like, okay, so his worst crimes are kind of in the 11th hour. You know, armed robbery, stealing a handgun, burning down a dentist's office. These are bad things, but it was actually this black man's fault.
It was this fictional black man.
It was this boogeyman black man who seemingly doesn't exist in real life.
The movie needed a villain, you know? Channing Tatum had turned over a new leaf and mostly stopped being a criminal outside of stealing M&Ms, and then this villainous African-American gentleman convinced him to commit all of his worst crimes.
It was a little... Time. He has his gangsta buddy who's like, you know, seemingly just not real, you know, frankly. Or if he is real, he's greatly exaggerated, it would seem. But then this whole movie's like... There's tons of moments where it just kind of comes off as fake. A lot of things. So then you look into it and you're like, oh yeah, this is one of those biopics where it's like 40% real and 60% mindless fluff. You know, changing orders of how things happen and very reluctantly trying to get him to do stuff, you know, doing stuff that he really did, but like trying to make him look not as culpable for the sake of the romance, which kind of comes back to the fact that this is sort of a weird premise. Like, you could make a really quirky movie about this strange criminal who robbed Toys R Us after robbing a bunch of McDonald's, and in real life he lived in the Circuit City. I get why you're like, for simplicity's sake, let's make it so he robs the Toys R Us, because some of that stuff where he was like casing the joint and stuff was real, and setting up like kind of his own security cameras to try to monitor and edit stuff. That was all real. So I think it's just for convenience that you're like, okay, he was a vagrant in the Toys R Us and not in the Circuit City next door. It's also probably easier from a legal perspective to not have to also dig up whatever company has the rights to Circuit City, apparently buried deep in a filing cabinet that hasn't been touched in 25 years. So I understand why they went the route they did in that front. Like, I'm not saying you can't go with any exaggerations and alterations, because that's common, but the thesis of this movie being like a heartfelt romance between him and Spider-Man's girlfriend, and that's just not the case. There's also really weird stuff that bothered me as a autistic person. Not undiagnosed, but I feel like a lot of people who say they have autism aren't today, so I'm going to go with it. But, cut that out. Or don't. Leave in that I said cut that out, and then leave this in, too.
It's all getting lost.
Leave it all in. But, he's wearing adult Naruto on his hoodie for much of the movie. A lot of the key art for Spider-Man is there. I saw some modern Hasbro Marvel Legends.
Yep.
A lot of like little things that are like
modern designs of the M&M.
Yeah, that's mascots. The other thing, and that's like a thing that I mean, I don't think the M&M mascots have changed much, but it's clearly like the same M&Ms I could buy off the shelf today. A little bit different looking than in 2004.
Yep.
But I mean, for the most part, I actually do think like the Toys R Us. Like I've been to like 3 Toys R Us in my life. I was never a thorough Toys R Us shopper, but I was like, you know what, this is the vibe. And I think that's what kind of counts for stuff like that. There were moments where it's like, look at that Blockbuster Video across the street, and it just adds nothing, but like, it's like the period piece, like, you know, because now you make 2000s period pieces like in the 2000s, he made 80s period pieces, and there's some things you gotta add to remind people that it's the 2000s beyond the
when
car.
you're making Y2K, you have to have people talk about
Motherfuckers
the
got a
Nintendo
top-
64 and Pogs and Blockbuster Video.
Yep. All those things were around in 2004 and have since been modernized or no longer exist, so you have to put them in there. I mean, that's kind of just the thing about the period piece. And it always made me... Now it's kind of making me wonder, you know? Sometimes you watch a movie in, like, the 1940s, and it's like, was there a Sears Roebucks on every... Sears and Ropenheimer, whatever the fuck it was called, on every block? I don't know. Who knows? But,
Just wait till we get the 2020s period pieces.
everybody's TikTok dancing in the background. I gotta
mean,
turn
that is
on
pretty
my
much real
Netflix. Yeah, I mean it is. Channing Tatum is.
Anyone remember the PS5
Anyone remember the? Yeah. Anyone remember this ugly thing?
VR headset?
But it's all AI generated because corporations refuse to pay people anymore. So they just give us sloppier slop than ever before, but it doesn't matter because some intern wrote up the newest Avengers movie in a prompt in 5 seconds, so it doesn't matter that it looks like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Channing Tatum was charming. There's a lot of people in here. Director Krennic was the pastor for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst was the girlfriend Lee, and
Peter Dinklage
Channing
was the
Tatum
mean
played
manager.
Jeff. He was the mean manager who actually wasn't that mean, but also was just kind of a prick because he was a manager. I thought Peter Dinklage as the manager was pretty accurate because that's pretty much managers.
Yeah.
I worked as a middle manager at a shitty dying business back in the day, so I know there's some Peter Dinklage types in a lot of those businesses. So I mean I didn't think it was horrible 100%, but like there's a lot of things where you're like, I feel like I was sold on a concept where like if they're gonna exaggerate, I mean the truth is weirder than fiction. A schizophrenic guy, most likely some sort of weirdo, perhaps a little bit of drugs involved, but he robbed a fuckload of McDonald's, but he wasn't a total dick. That's true. He wasn't a dick to the people he held hostage in the McDonald's. And then he lived in this empty Circuit City next to this Toys R Us that he eventually tried to rob. And it's like, okay, you know, that seems like a good concept. I feel like you could fluff it up and make it like fun. First thing you gotta do is not make it an hour and 2 hours, 10 minutes. It should be 30 minutes long. Next thing not 30, 90 minutes. Hour 30. That's what I was going for.
More slapstick.
I think it should have just been goofier. I think the romance angle was fine, but it should be like significantly reduced. Like it'd be kind of funny if he had like a weirdo girlfriend, or even if the girlfriend was normal but everything else was a little slapsticky. I mean, then you'd be kind of treading dangerously close to Reddit territory. But I think like a 90-minute movie, like a little crime, like maybe like one of those like if the Coen brothers before Ethan was bad and they broke up made a movie about a guy who lived in a Toys R Us after robbing a bunch of McDonald's, and it was a little fictionalized. I mean, like basically what I'm thinking about is like Fargo, because Fargo's loosely based on real murders, but then there's like some quirky shit and it gets weird. And like that's kind of what I was hoping for with this movie, but what we got was, as you said in the car ride home, basically a Lifetime movie with a budget.
Yeah.
Where they make those like sensationalized, like my son is addicted to internet porn and then killed people or something. And it's like, you know, very Lifetime concept. And they're like, okay, but the mom has a new husband who's actually really nice. So even though her son got the death penalty, at least she has this new husband, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe one of the porn stars from the movie falls in love with him even though he's a killer or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing
Or the
some
doctor
shit.
starts stalking them.
Yeah, the doctor starts stalking them. Yeah, I mean it's pretty
He goes
much.
to a sleep clinic and starts sexually assaulting
God,
sleepwalkers.
now that I'm thinking about it, I wish we were watching. I wish they should make a theatrical, like, big budget. Give the Stock by My Doctor team, namely Eric Roberts. I don't really care about anyone else. Give him the money to make a theatrical Stock by My Doctor. Give him whatever this had, like a $30 million budget. Oh yeah, full musical. Embrace not just one La La Land clone scene because Eric Roberts saw La La Land the day before. I mean a full 90-minute musical. He's stalking people. He's doing his thing. I would love that, but yeah, I don't know. There's aspects that fell short. It was a weird direction to take this, a romantic drama. I feel like the director wanted to be like, this must be like a romantic drama, but then the story, when you really look into the brass tacks of the story, it was he was a weird criminal who started banging he was a weird stinky homeless criminal who started banging a random lady who goes to church.
Yeah.
A tale as old as time, woman dates felon,
Yeah.
I don't get to do my incel talk very much anymore, but it's not an untrue, not an unheard of situation. So Aiden, what did you think of Stalked by My Homeless Toy Store Vagrant Schizophrenic Crime Man?
Watchable. It's kind of boring. The romance stuff is boring. The Toy Store stuff isn't nearly as fun as it should be. There's not a lot of Toy Store annex. You skim over the McDonald's stuff, which is fine. They probably should have shown one or two of the robberies and done something with that. But then you skip right to the Toy Store, and the antics are: he steals candy off the shelves. He learns how to turn the cameras off. At one point, he's rolling around on Heelys, because that was a thing at the time. And then Peter Dinklage sees his wiener once.
Yep.
And then the movie, outside of those antics, the movie's just like a romantic drama about a homeless guy lying to it.
A homeless felon
church lady.
Nice.
He's a nice homeless felon who lies to his church lady girlfriend. Yeah. This movie was directed by the guy who directed Blue Valentine and Place Beyond the Pines. And it's a lot like the first third of Place Beyond the Pines, except it's boring. But it's shot identically, which I thought was really weird, where it's got this washed out color palettes and all these lingering wide shots. And it looks very similar, but it's just a significantly stupider movie. I don't know. It doesn't live up to the premise. I mean, it's not fun. The premise is funny. This should have starred
Kenneth Branagh from Murder on the Orient Express, director of Thor.
That'd be a choice. I'm trying to think of a comedian, but I can't name one because there's not really. Skeet Davidson should have been.
This literally seems like a movie Skeet Davidson would star in on Hulu.
Yeah, it should have
been.
And
then his love interest would be Bella Thorne or something.
Melissa McCarthy.
Why Melissa McCarthy? Or gender swapped Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy
Leslie
is the Toys R Us robber, and Skeet Davidson's the church guy. Yeah. This movie should have been funny instead of whatever it was, which was dull, mostly. And it was too long, like most movies are. It should have been whatever the minimum amount of time you can make a movie.
75 minutes.
78
I feel like the lowest you'll see is 86 minutes with credits.
Yeah.
That's a rare day.
Yeah, they should have made this Strangers Chapter 1 style, where it's 76 minutes with credits. Strangers Chapter 2 also should have been made in that way, or not at all.
Yeah.
But that's off topic. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it.
Sometimes life is funnier than fiction, and the real life thing is that some down bad church lady decided to bang a homeless felon
Maybe
who lived in a Circuit City wall.
Maybe the most interesting part of the night was seeing what kind of people go to AMC's Screen Unseen, where you can get half-price tickets for a mystery movie. And me and Connor figured out it'd be this movie at some point today. Because there are a lot of clues. Like, they don't lie about the running time or the rating. Because they probably
Right, and it also says a movie that's not out yet. I think they can. But the problem is the time is loaded up based on how the movies are programmed. So you program the movie and you're like, it's a mystery movie that's 2 hours and 5 minutes with trailers. It's because it's the exact same file as the normal movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rating they have to post. So, like, movie that comes out within the next 2 weeks, rated R, 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Every single person in the theater besides me and Connor was the elderliest white people you ever saw in the theater. It was just dead silent the whole time. There's a couple people chuckling at the start, and it quickly died off, and everyone kind of just sat in a slightly bored haze through the.
That's really the thing, isn't it?
This movie.
The whole movie is just a slightly boring haze.
So yeah, that was Roofman. Connor, would you recommend Roofman?
No,
Through the Screen Unseen program at AMC.
I think your ship has sailed if you want to see it through the Screen Unseen program. And I feel like the old people are the only ones that care enough, and I decided to do it because I was hoping it would be Tron Ares, and then like 2 days ago I started to suspect it was actually this movie. They did Jurassic World a while ago, and when it said new movie, I was like, I really hope this is Tron, and then I started doing more research, and it was pretty obvious. I feel like it is a Screen Unseen for old people who can't use basic, like, you know, it took the technological look at what movies come out next week and then click them and compare the time and the rating, and pretty quickly came to your answer on what it was going to be. It wasn't really a Screen Unseen for me. I had a pretty fucking good idea of what it was going to be. But in terms of the movie, I would probably pass. I think the thing is, it's like the premise and even the description of the premise and everything about it kind of sells you on a different movie than it actually is. I don't think the actors are bad, but you watch it and it just has this really phony edge to it. And then you read the story and you're like, why didn't they just like make it accurate to the story, or like have someone... people love doing those like Tarantino Coen brothers rip-offs when they have an excuse, and I think this was a good excuse for like, man, if you got like one of those like, and obviously I think the biggest problem is there's no like murder, which Coen brothers and Tarantino won't make a movie without, even their new bad movies.
Yeah.
Ethan Coen specifically, but I mean, like, you know, and also it's one of those things where it's a really funny idea, like, where, like, if somehow you could make a movie 45 minutes, or, like, I don't know how you'd get the corporate involvement, but if this was, like, a 30-minute, like, short crime film, goofy crime film that they played at a festival or something, it would be funny.
Put in, like, an anthology, 3 wacky crimes.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch a movie where it's like 3 fucking... There's plenty of weird fucking crap. Like, I'd watch a fucking VHS style movie where it was just like 3 weird crimes. Because the love angle was exaggerated. It's the core of this movie, and it's the angle that I think is the most inaccurate of all the angles. Not that the crime stuff wasn't inaccurate, and there was weird things that you had to do. Like, you couldn't make him look that bad, so like you had to just make up this fictional black man to take the blame, who fucking told him to burn down the dentist and every major crime he committed past
and heavily
breaking out of
imply
jail.
that he should kill his girlfriend.
Yeah, Yeah. It was weird. It's a strange vibe, so I'm gonna have to say no. I think it's watchable. I think conceptually it's good. I would love to see this concept done again, but shorter and with a totally different direction taken. Because it's like the hook of the fucking concept was more or less ignored to make a weird romantic drama with surprisingly decent talent behind it for some reason.
Yeah.
It was weird, not in a good way. So Aiden, would you recommend Roofman?
No, I wouldn't. It's a premise with some potential, and if this story had been made in if this had been made into a movie in 2008, and was like a fucking, I don't know, like a Mike Myers screwball comedy or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably also would have been shit, but it would have been a better angle to take than this one, I think.
I could see them making like a Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly comedy about this in 2008.
Yeah.
Like John C. Reilly is the fictional criminal and not some random black guy. Some random black gangbanger who can take all culpability for peer pressuring this good white boy into
Will Ferrell.
Yeah, like he's a fucking
They
idiot.
could add Kirsten Dunst play the church.
Yeah, you
girlfriend
could still
You could
probably
just
have that. Yeah, I was gonna
Just
say.
have her in the same position.
Yeah, really.
And Peter Dinklage could play the elf again.
Yeah, you could still use Peter Dinklage. Really, not much has to change. Or you could do Channing. You could do Channing Tatum. You know who? Yeah, I can think of a lot of better way. Pretty much any angle. Okay, so we got the Coen brothers. We got the Will Ferrell comedy. Hear me out. Really exaggerate the thing. Michael Bay. Michael
Yeah.
Bay, Bad Boys
Like
era.
a Pain and Gain type.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, like Pain and Gain or like Bad Boys era or something, you know? He's like, I got into town. I was living at the Circuit City walls and I went outside and then there's like girls doing a car wash with their asses hanging out.
Yeah, it should have been like a Michael Bay movie, but the manager
Blonde
keeps
women.
catching on, and every time the manager catches on, he has to decapitate him, and they're like, there's like this mystery around the store where everyone's like, where did the manager go? This is the 6th manager we've lost this week.
Or Bad Boys 3 in an alternate world where Michael Bay and Will Ferrell, or fucking Will Smith and not Martin Short.
Martin Short's
Martin.
Who's the guy who played
Martin
Goodman.
No.
Martin Sheen.
Not Martin Sheen.
Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are like, we gotta catch this guy. Another McDonald's just got hit, you know?
Yeah.
And his girlfriend was like a 17-year-old Megan Fox or something weird because it was a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
He's got his Romeo and Juliet card. I don't know.
He uses the Toys R Us printer to print out his Romeo and Juliet card. Laminates it at the Circuit City.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know. In Unsolved Mysteries episode while he was still on the run, but somehow they found out that he lived in the Toys R Us, and they're like, people have seen strange sightings, like a naked man flashing Peter Dinklage. You know, you have dramatic reenactments. I don't know. Here's some ideas. People say that there might be a black gangbanger. A fictional black gangbanger.
Let's see.
What do you got? What do you get? What's your angle? What's your bitch?
A Pixar movie based on this premise.
Well,
you know, kind of like it's like Toy Story. You know, you got to tone down his criminal actions, but he's on the run.
Okay.
And the toys keep coming to life. at night. It's a Toy Story spin-off.
Similar premise, but recontextualized.
Which is, I guess, just Night at the Museum. But.
Yeah, I was gonna say Night at the Museum, Night at Toys R Us, and like but it's also kind of like a Home Alone vibe, but like Kevin McAllister is the toys, you know. So you got like Barbie and GI Joe putting out like fishing lines to trip him, and then eventually he gets caught by the cops.
Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's a horror movie.
Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage looks. Yeah, okay.
He has to press the little button on his little security setup.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of concepts that they could have went with. That wasn't this.
Paul Thomas Anderson, Roofman.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like a more art house version of like the Coen brothers and Quentin Tarantino idea, really. Somebody said, and then the good Christian girl shows up and she says, "Well, lucky me, I call you the roof man," because she like finds him on his roof or something. Ooh. Francis Ford Coppola. It's all CGI, and at the end it turns into a giant rose or something, and he's on the roof, but the roof is like one little piece of set, and the rest is really shitty green screen, and he's contemplating robbing
George Lucas's roof man. He's walking down the aisle of the Toys R Us, and it's a green screen that's this wide, and he has to walk really slowly through it.
He's holding on to the railing at the church. He says, "I'm in agony." "You don't understand. I robbed him. I robbed all the McDonald's. The ones at the Playlands. And the small ones, too. I robbed the ghetto ones. I even robbed the ones in the suburbs."
So God's love has blinded you then.
From my point of view, the Toys R Us is evil. Peter Dinklage is evil.
From my point of view, the evil black man is evil.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. You still have the evil black man, and he's like, "You're such a good friend," and he's like
pulling the strings.
"Give me $50,000 for your passport. Do it, do it. Rob the pawn store. Burn the dentist office to the ground." These are some concepts. I feel like these are all better concepts. Really. Frankly. Alright, I'm gonna think of one more. A melt movie. He eats so many peanut M&Ms, he turns into chocolate and he starts melting.
David Lynch.
It's just David Lynch telling the weather. In a Toys R Us, he actually it's a documentary.
No, I think in David Lynch's version, after the Roofman moves into the Toys R Us, everyone finds out about it right away, but they kind of like him being there, so he just continues to live there. And becomes like their friendly neighbor. And his house slowly grows to consume the entire Toys R Us.
You could do like Monster House, where he gets buried under the cement and then he becomes the Toys R Us.
Sure.
I don't know. These are just concepts.